welcome to episode 1 of ChatCraft. I'm joined here with a panel of 4 players, 2 Protoss, 2 Terran. I'm joined by MYi's shinyA.
What?
It's actually 3 Protoss.
3 Protoss and 1 Terran. First
Let's
off,
just try this shit again.
I say we restart.
no, we're not restarting. Fuck, now I have to
Just
restart.
start out,
you
like, get the
jackasses.
music again, get back in the zone.
It's not our fault. You don't know your own
I
players.
was
Racist,
fucking
like,
feeling it. I don't play this game. When's the last time that I played a game?
Is Andrew Chan gonna talk?
No,
No.
dude, he won't talk.
So
we don't know.
Said he was gonna talk
we-
when he got here, and he hasn't started.
interesting.
He'll randomly unmute his mic and go.
It's interesting. And then I muted him.
With like a massive sort of static in the background. It's like.
Hold on.
Is everyone here, by the way? I'm waiting for Rich,
I
I think.
am here.
Oh,
Testing,
for some reason it
testing.
says that you're still. I'm still calling you.
Why don't we just start off with the question?
Cool. Yeah. So, Heart of the Swarm beta.
What is this noise, Kris? Mute your shit.
Heart of the Swarm
Go ahead,
beta. One thing that a lot of people think is that all the GMs just should have been given keys right off the bat. You know, for balance testing and things like that. Now, I don't know whether Blizzard, the point of the beta is more to do like stress testing and actual testing of the code and stuff. But, I mean, do you think it would have been better for balance testing to give all the GMs keys, or like what kind of drawbacks do you think there could have been? Anyone can talk whenever they want. We'll start with Nick,
Great.
though.
Okay. Well, it's like the only thing that I can think of is their sole focus was like marketing, because you see they gave people like, I mean, Kiwi Kaki got a key and he hasn't even played for like 6 months, so I mean they obviously didn't care about like people earning keys or like, giving people keys based on recent credits, or in the press release they said, you know, recent activity on the ladder was going to get you a key, but they give it to people who haven't played in forever, and they give it to like, I mean, like personalities and stuff, so they obviously don't care about players getting keys.
I mean, they still gave him to a reasonable amount of pros, though. And I mean, for balance-wise, giving them to the people who do this for a living is not a bad decision. I mean, obviously they gave him people into like DJ Wheat, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because obviously he has a huge fan base. But I mean, he's like platinum or something, you know? I don't think he'd have much to add to the balance conversation. But having the pros like Cats and you know, those root guys, the EG guys, etc., I don't think it's a bad idea.
One thing that I find weird about it, though, is that, like, think about it. Even if you give it to all the pro players and not to, like I said, for example, like all the Grandmasters, there's a really small sample size when you're just talking about pros. If you're giving it to, you know, everyone from, let's say, the top 10 teams on North America, you know, that's still maybe like 40 guys, 50 guys who are now getting keys and playing, and it's like, is that really a big enough sample size to be able to see balance, or is that, or maybe it is more like a marketing thing to give it to these teams because they're streaming and like people are watching them play?
They gave it to more than just the NA people, though. Like a lot of Koreans have them, the top Euros have them, like everyone has the keys.
The biggest problem I have with it is like, if you're, okay, from Blizzard's standpoint, you make a league called Grandmaster and you put the top 200 players, and that's what you claim that the top 200 players are in this league. They make it so pointless. You don't get anything for being in the league. You're not rewarded with anything at all. Like, they could be doing things like regular tournaments for Grandmaster players for cash prizes and like make incentives for getting in the ladder. And it's like, when they go and they make a beta, or you know, like when a beta is released and they give out keys and they completely ignore the small, you know, like supposed to be, you know, a title that you've earned and that's supposed to be important. They hype it up, and then they just ignore all the players that got it and put all the time into getting it. It's just like, why have a league that's called Grandmaster supposed to be the top 200 players on every region if you're not going to do anything for them?
Pretty much. Like, if you're Grandmaster, then people kind of take you seriously, because you should know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases. But yeah, I think like back to the Heart of Swarm discussion, though. I think with the first wave that they sent out, that was just for obviously pros and personalities and stuff. Didn't they just recently say they were sending like another 8,000 keys to people?
I don't know. I didn't see that. That would be
I
awesome.
thought I read that somewhere in a Blizzard announcement.
I have like I have 6 different Battle.net accounts. Like 4 of them have been Grandmaster on like all the by themselves. I have one account that's been Grandmaster and has every single Battle.net like account or not account but game attached to it with like World of Warcraft subscription for the past year. I mean, like they don't do anything to reward their customers honestly at all.
Do you think there'd be any kind of drawback to giving all Grandmasters Heart of the Swarm keys? Like, what kind of? I'm just trying to get inside their heads and think like, why would they not want to give keys? Is there any? Personally, I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't want to do it. So,
if you're giving them the pros, you're already putting like a high skill set in there. But like, I mean, I was watching like a few streams and like, there's really bad players matching up against pros the entire time, and it's like. There's no competition in the game. Like I don't see how you can get balance or like get any meaningful statistics when you have people that were in like platinum and regular in Wings of Liberty and they're playing against like, professional players. How do you derive any sort of balance conclusion from games like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure that I have the answer to that one. In terms of Heart of the Swarm, how badly do you guys think that we need Heart of the Swarm right now? Like, if there were no expansions to come out and it was just going to be Wings of Liberty forever, do you think that StarCraft 2 would fail? Or do you think that without Heart of the Swarm, StarCraft 2 would still be okay as an esport? Throw that to anybody. Grape?
I mean, I don't really have that much of a history in Brood War, but obviously, like, that game lasted a long ass time, like over 10 years, was it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I mean, was that the last? Like, were there expansions from the first StarCraft?
Yeah,
like,
the first game it was StarCraft, and then there was one expansion that was Brood War.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, haven't they already announced that they're coming out with a second one?
Yeah,
Legacy of the Void or whatever.
StarCraft 2, yeah, Legacy of the Void.
I mean, this is kind of like Wings of Liberty is I guess Terran's expansion.
Yeah.
They kind of got the short end of the stick, but I mean that's kind of the way it goes. And now this is Zerg's, and then Protoss is going to be the third one, and that's probably the one we're going to end on for the foreseeable future for sure. So I mean, to answer your question though, I think we'd be okay. Like obviously we're still having tournaments, and with Blizzard doing this WCS, like Europe was obviously huge. The American one was huge, Korean one is huge, so it wouldn't die by any means. But I think the point of these expansions to come is to get more and more people involved. I can't see it dying from an expansion coming out, and especially with beta and stuff, I think we'll be fine.
Do you think that, like, because Nate, you were big into Brood War, obviously you were an A ranked player in Brood War. What is missing from Wings of Liberty that Brood War had? Obviously, this argument's been rehashed 100 times, but just like, I mean, do you think that Heart of the Swarm is going to bring, from what you've seen of it so far, is going to bring us closer to what Brood War was? Or do you think that, it's just going to be more of the same Wings of Liberty style stuff?
I think Blizzard is on, like, the opposite mindset of, like, how they should be approaching the game. Like, well, first of all, I wanted to say the original question, like, we are fine on Wings of Liberty, and, like, the biggest problem is when they're looking forward and they're like, we have Wings of Liberty and they have their entire development team focusing on Heart of the Swarm. Like, what does that do for Wings of Liberty? They don't care about the game, and they haven't for the past, how long has it been in production? How can they have full focus on Wings of Liberty when they're all focused on Heart of the Swarm? So, like, where would Wings of Liberty be right now if there was no expansions coming out and their entire team was focused on making Wings of Liberty the best it could be? So, we don't even know where the game would be if that was the case. And even if it wasn't the case, like, adding new units and doing all the crap that they're doing, it's just awful. Like, Wings of Liberty's not even balanced, and they're just going and, like, making an entire new game and adding completely new units. And we have to go test those, and then they're going to release another game, 2 years from now. It's going to be the same exact thing. Like, there's no point. They're just doing it to make money. And, like, honestly, I would buy Heart of the Swarm if it just had, like, clan support, automated tournaments, basically all the things that Warcraft 3 Battle.net had, and left the gameplay exactly as it is. Like, And as far as the comparison to Brood War, the skill cap in Brood War was incredibly high. Like, I mean, I made the comparison before. Is like, if in Brood War I was gonna play against like a B team Korean amateur, 100 games, you know, I'd be like super excited to take 2 or 3 games out of the entire 100. And I'm sure if I played like the best player in the world now, I could take plenty of games off of them. You know, at least 10 plus out of a 100-game series, probably way more than that. And it's just because the game is so easy and there's so much luck that dictate games that it's just really easy to play. And then with Heart of the Swarm coming out, they're making more features that are lowering the skill cap. Like your workers automatically split themselves, and it shows you how many workers. There's like a text that says how many workers you have per base. It's like they're just making the game so easy, but the people that buy it and the people that watch it hardly even play it. Like the bronze players aren't going to be becoming, you know, professional players anytime soon. They're going to be watching professional players, and when there's no excitement when a bronze player watches a grandmaster play and they're like, well, I do the same exact thing. Like, I make my Colossus and I just want to with them too. Like, it's just there's no excitement. That's what Brood War had, you know.
So do you think it's like a mechanical thing, or do you think it's you know, design aspects of the game? Like, if we actually just look at the units and ignoring any kind of mechanical function or mechanical control between the two games, like, do you think that the Brood War units are better, or do you like the Wings of Liberty units better? Like, not talking about the actual control.
Like, compare the Reaver to the Colossus, and like when a Reaver shot would be going off towards an army, there's like that build up and you hold your breath and wait for the Scarab to hit or miss, and it's like so much excitement just in that one moment. And then you look at the Colossus and it's like all Colossus are the same. Like, there's no difference in a Colossus attacking at bronze and like MC attacking with a Colossus. It does the same thing. It's an automated unit. You just 1A with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excitement with it at all. And like I think it might have been Orb made like a giant post about this, and like he was comparing like JF, he was comparing his Reaver drops. Like, when you're, you know, not anywhere near good as he is, and you see him go do a Reaver drop and he executes it perfectly, and he does tons of damage with it. And then you go in a game and you're a bad player and you're gonna try it and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna try it again and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna try it again and you're gonna fail. But eventually, you know, you're gonna do a somewhat successful Reaver drop, and then like that excitement should be what we strive for, not, well, I'm gonna go build Colossus and pretend I'm MC because they do the same exact thing. There's just no excitement for that. And the same with any unit. Like, compare, like, look at the Lurker Marine micro in Brood War. It was like a dance. It was like so sick, you know. It was like you watch it and you're just like, holy crap, this guy's got like so sick control. I remember watching a video of like a guy splitting 3 Marines over and over again, like moving them to dodge 2.
I remember that. Yeah, that's an awesome. It like goes around the Lurker in a circle. Is it that one? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Yeah.
And people were like, is that even real? Did he do that in like slow time and then he proved that he did it real? Like, there's nothing like that that's available for like Baneling versus Marine splits, and it's just nowhere near the same.
Yeah, Kris, do you think that SC2 has peaked at this point? Or do you think that if Heart of the Swarm wasn't to come out, that we'd see a lot more development in the meta?
Like, the Brood War players just switched, and I think there's like a lot we can learn from them. Like, they've already come over, and they're pretty much, there's like a few of them that are already like pretty damn good and like dominating. JD was in Code S. I mean,
but I mean, is he using things that, like, strategies that have already been developed? Are people just rehashing the same stuff over and over, or is there actually a new development to the game at this point? Like, if we just left it be for the next 5 years, would we see a revolutionizing of the game like we did in Brood War, or would it just kind of stay the same and just mechanically get a little bit better every year?
I mean, it might change a little bit. I don't see that much changing. Jaedong and the rest of them might be able to do something that'll like change it a lot. I don't know.
The problem with that though is, like, think back like 5 years ago and you ask somebody in Brood War, like, is this where the game was? How can you imagine? Like, you'd have to be there and be like, well, you have to like I don't know, you'd have to like think of all the new strategies that are going to come out. I mean, how can you think, you know, how can you answer that question without actually knowing?
But think about how much like innovation we've seen in the past, for example, year in StarCraft 2. Like, has there been that much? Has the meta changed that much in the last year?
There has a lot. Like,
okay.
People don't realize like how long StarCraft 2's really been out. It's only been out for a little over 2 years. Yeah. And I mean, a year ago, Terrans were still one basing every game. Like, I mean, and Protoss weren't even forward fast expanding all the time. And PvZ, like, the game was completely different. And I mean, like I said, in Brood War, if you went back 5 years and you said, well, how is the PvZ? Do you think PvZ is going to stay the same when, like, Zergs were never losing against Protoss? Who was going to say, well, Bisu in a couple years is going to start making, like Corsair DT and dominate the matchup?
I guess that's true. Thank you for highlighting how dumb my question was.
No problem, man.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about WCS. You mentioned that, dickhead. You mentioned that earlier, Rich.
I say Nate.
WCS. Do you think that it's like lived up to the hype of what Blizzard's trying to do? Did you ever watch WCG before? Like back in the day?
I did not. No. I was too busy playing Counter-Strike back then.
They had Counter-Strike in WCG.
True, but I never really watched the competitive scene that much, to be honest.
Like, do you feel the hype for this? Like, are you gonna be rooting for Team Canada when it goes into the World Finals for WCS, or like, do you feel the hype behind the whole thing? I feel like Blizzard really tried to push it. So
I definitely think like the country thing was great. I think I'm more cheering more for like foreigners. You know what I mean? A foreigner winning. They haven't released the prize pool, have they?
I haven't seen it.
No, they did.
Yeah, it's like a 250,000 prize pool.
Yeah,
it's like 100,000 for first, and then it's split up.
Wasn't that for Europe though?
No, it's for the main,
for the grand
Shanghai.
So Europe was 100,000, and the grand finals of the world is gonna be 100,000.
No, Europe was only
like 25, I think.
Oh, really?
No, it was more than that. Stefano won 24 for first place.
That's what I meant. Just for first.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, regardless, I mean, it's still gonna be like I definitely think they've hyped it up really well, and I think the Chinese crowd is gonna be absolutely insane, and it's just gonna be great to watch. It's gonna be an awesome weekend, that's for sure.
Thing I had with it is that, like, for all the different regions, like, they let NASL take over like North America WCS, and they let the ACL take over the Australian one, and then they let DreamHack take over the Europe one. Like, I don't understand why Blizzard couldn't have done it themselves, because when you look at the production value and like, I mean, the one for Europe was amazing. Like, it was by far the best of the. But I didn't really watch the Korean. I think it was just online on Go. It wasn't really live, I don't think. If it was, I didn't see it.
The quality was really bad too. Like, they were like putting a price on the stream.
Yeah.
And they had to take it off.
Monetizing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, DreamHacks was like rockstar status. I mean, I have, I guess, apprehension on if the China finals are going to be as good as the DreamHack ones as far as production value, because that was probably the best tournament I've ever seen. So
yeah, and setting-wise, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Having that like arena style.
Yeah, and they had him like walk out and like on the stage, and then go and do an interview in the middle of on like this white couch in the middle of the crowd. Like, it was so sick.
Yeah.
So my biggest problem with it was like that everybody didn't get that. Like, everybody didn't get the same production value and the same tournament ran, and it's because they let other tournaments run it. If in the future, I'd rather see Blizzard give the same equal production value to everybody. Like, why not give North America that DreamHack one? You know, and if Blizzard ran it, then that could easily be possible.
I have a feeling that the reason they did that is because the cost of it. Like, when you actually look at how much it costs to run these events, and the fact that Blizzard can kind of piggyback off these other events so they don't have to pay for them themselves, that's what makes sense to me. And at the end, you know, maybe after running all these events, like, an event costs, what, like $200,000 to run or something like that? So, or $300,000 just to run like a 2-day event. So, I mean, maybe it makes more sense for Blizzard to do it this way. Although I do agree with you. Like, I mean, I loved NASL. I was at NASL and I thought it was kick-ass. But, I mean, I don't think it can really compare to something like the DreamHack one. But, I mean, there's not infinite resources, you know? Like, I guess they got to do what they can with what they got. And would you rather see, like, production value like DreamHack at every event in a lower prize pool? Because, I mean, I guess that would be possible to have better production value but less money at the end. But like,
I think what he's trying to say though is like Blizzard can absolutely do it. Like, it's not like they don't have the budget or they don't have the money to do it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, like, there's already so many tournaments. You know, like almost every month we're having at least 2 to 3 big ones. So they're kind of combining them, and you're getting advertisement for NASL and the Canadian finals. You know.
I mean, and if it was a budget issue though, like, I mean, how much are they paying Stosis to go to every single one of these events, and all these casters are making money? I mean, they have to be paying like near the entire price pool in money for just the casters. So I mean, like, if that's a backwards way of running esports, and it's going to be how it fails, you know. So like, if you're going to run a sick tournament, and you're having to shell out so much money for personalities to come instead of the actual players, then I mean, there's a problem there. Like, money in and hosting a tournament is being spent wrong in the first place. Like,
is that a problem that can be reversed at this point though? Because like, I feel like we've already reached critical mass of, you know, when people will and won't watch events. It's been proven time and time again that when those big names and casters don't go to events, then nobody watches them. And if nobody watches the events, then, I mean, it's a catch-22, right? Then they can't pay anyone to go there, and the whole thing just falls apart.
I mean, the only way that you can change is to say, all right, look, Tasteless, we're never, not as an entire community of tournament hosters, like, everybody's going to say, all right, this is the maximum that we're ever going to pay a caster. And I feel like there should be, like, you know, like in Kespa, like, something like that for foreign esports, to where money needs to be more put towards the players to say, look, this is our budget for casting. Every tournament has this budget for casting. So if you want to just quit forever, I mean, that's your choice, but this is how much you can make. And I mean, that's the only way I can see, but I don't see anybody doing that, because then MYi's going to be like, well, we want them here for sure, so we want to pay more money, you know? So I don't know how we could have a system in place to rule stuff like that, but...
Some kind of, like, tournament salary cap for...
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense for, like, okay, Stefano goes to WCS, and he probably makes as much as, like, Tasteless went for going there. Like, how does that make sense that the player that, you know, puts way... I'm guarantee you Stefano practices more than Tasteless practices his casting, and it's not a knock to him. I'm just saying, like, one person puts way more effort into the game and helps the game succeed while the other talks about it. I mean, think of it in regular sports. If like, John Madden was making more money than, like, the players that he casted, like the superstars of the NFL, like, it just would not work. Like, it's just illogical. Should have money guaranteed to casters and not to players. I mean, think of it. If they took the budget for casting and just spread it out to the top 16, that can make those top 16 players live off of Starcraft. You know, I mean, if you go to MYi and you make top 16, you're gonna make, you know, $10,000. That's amazing. That's something you can actually shoot for, and like a realistic goal for many players. Instead,
yeah, that's true.
Caster. I mean, and speaking of that, like, watching MYi is an absolute joke when you have like Tastos is commenting after the game. Let's like kick it over to JP and DJ Wheat for their in-game analysis. Like, nobody needs two like personalities to like analyze the game after we just had Tastos and Tastos cast the game. So like, why are they paying all that money for that? Like, that could be going to players, and it's just absolutely retarded.
Well, that makes sense to me. Like, not wanting people to... I mean, I guess there's other kind of content that they could fill that with rather than that. But I don't think that those guys get paid as much as you think that they do. I think there are some people in the community who get paid a lot. But for, like... I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to that, so...
I mean, Day 9, Artosis, and Tasteless. If you watch the real talk with Tasteless and Artosis, Tasteless basically was just like, yo, I'm making bank off of casting. If you can't afford me, I'm not going to your event. Like, that's literally what he said. And, I mean, I'm sure him, Artosis, and Day 9 all make the same to go to, or, you know, around the same to go to a tournament.
So is there anything that we can do to, like, I mean, what's the game plan? Just, like, because it's not going to change anytime soon.
The fan base is too big.
Yeah. So maybe StarCraft is less set up like a sport and just more set up like any other kind of entertainment, like, you know, TV or music or, you know, something like that. Because the personalities, the people in front of the camera are the people making the money. It's not the players.
That's not even the case. Like, you're like saying the people on the radio are making more than the music they're playing. I mean,
it's
obviously
right though. Like, it doesn't... Like, the fact that Stefano, or even the person, like the guy who got second and third, like those brothers or whatever, the amount of time they put in to basically to get to that point, and obviously came up a little bit short. But then you have Tasteless and Artosis just casting them, and making just as much, if not more. That's a little wrong.
And guaranteed money too. It's not like their checks are on the line when they go to a tournament.
They're stress free. They just have to cast. Yeah. I mean, but that being said, like they are like their voice is going out to 70,000 people and however many people are in that stadium. It's not like
it's live. It's like that's actually a pretty difficult broadcasting job. Like doing live casting to that many people, no teleprompters, no script. Basically,
it's not easy. Like
they're on for like 10 hours. So
and it's not like you want Tasteless and Artosis boycotting your tournament because that's just bad.
Of course not. But I feel like there's a responsibility on them as people who are like supposed to, I love Starcraft and I love esports and I want to see it grow. Yet let's compare it to other games. Like the international 2 for Dota was just fun. I guarantee you that the casters for that tournament were making nowhere near as much as Tasteless, and the prize pool for that tournament, first place, was $1 million. That's $250,000 for every player on the team. I mean,
200,000. There's 5 players, right?
Yeah, whatever. I'm in bed, bro. Like, I'm just saying that, like, obviously there's money in esports, right? So I mean, like, and I feel like if you can't make it as a team, I mean, look at these teams that sponsor Dota and League of Legends. They're so much bigger and have so much and this is not even like multi-gaming organizations, It's like they can support just their teams and do so much more to them than, aside from like a handful of SC2 teams. And it's because like it's way more realistic to make money in tournaments and be a player and do it professionally than in StarCraft when it's an individual sport and more money is being sent to personalities and players. It's not a realistic profession, and it'll never be a realistic profession when the casters are making more money than the players. And nothing really can ever be done about it unless the casters, or like there's like a salary cap, like you said, or the casters sit back and say, well, this game, we're not going to succeed as casters if we're taking all the money. Because without the players, the game dies. We can find more casters.
But what if is it partially, like, the responsibility partially on the tournaments to put more emphasis on the stories of the players and tell those stories a little bit better rather than the casters being the main form of entertainment at an event? Because that could probably turn it around too, if the way that it's produced puts the players in kind of a better light, and the players are the heroes and not the casters.
I think
if you look that's valid.
No, I think that's a knock on StarCraft itself when you have to have casters making the game exciting. Like when I was watching the Dota, I hadn't played Dota in like 3 years. I didn't need the I muted most of the casters because their voices were annoying. I loved watching the Dota game. Like it was amazing. The production value of the tournament was amazing. I didn't care about the casters. I mean, if you have to have a caster, if you're MYi or you're IPL or something, and the only reason that you're selling tickets is because of the casters that you get, then the game itself is flawed. Like, if I should be able to watch a tournament without a caster and be thoroughly entertained, otherwise the game that I'm watching isn't a good game. I mean, that's the bottom line. And players aren't going to be able to succeed if that's the case. If they're more reliant on personality than casters to make their game worthwhile. I mean,
so is the problems with StarCraft 2 then? It's not necessarily with...
That's if your theory is correct. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying I personally think that at the very bottom line, if every famous caster died, StarCraft 2 would still be a success. We would just have more casters. I mean, look, in Control's been like casted. What did he cast? Him and Idra went to NISL to cast, right? And they were paid as casters.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
And you have players, like all the time you have players turning to casting because casting makes more money and it's guaranteed money. There's no, I hope I do well at this tournament so I can pay my rent. Like, there's none of that. It's like, I get to go to this tournament and get paid. Like, it's a job. But pro gaming is a job, but you're taking a chance on whether you're going to get paid. That's unrealistic. Why not have guaranteed money for every player at your tournament and enough money? I mean, Tasteless made it sound, he was just like, I'm so financially secure for the rest of my life already. It's like, is that really how much they're paying you? Like, holy.
Cool. Well, I think that pretty much hits all the points that I wanted to talk to you about that. Does anybody have any more? I mean, we started with talking about WCS. Does anyone have any more comments that they want to add to that, or?
You said you wanted to talk about the team league.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the team leagues, amateur team leagues, rather than just pro
You
team
meant on that
leagues.
topic?
Hmm?
You meant on that topic only?
Yeah, I mean
Or-
on that topic before.
They're like, yo, podcast over.
No, I definitely want to talk about this. So there's been a huge influx of team leagues that have started popping up, especially indie team leagues, which is great for teams like us. So team leagues like the ESEA, ISTL, the URTL, which is a new team league that's starting up, has I think 32 teams or something like that, or in that
Jesus.
team league. The IPL team league and the GSTL obviously is not an amateur team league, but it's a team league nonetheless. So I'd like to touch on it at least briefly. What do you guys think? I mean, you have all played in some of these team leagues. So out of those team leagues that I was talking about before, especially the amateur ones, ESCA, ISTL, URTL, what do you guys like? Like, which team leagues are your favorite to play in or to watch?
I'll go last since I talked so much before.
All right. We'll start
Grape.
with Kris.
Start with Grape. Grape, go ahead and let us know.
Okay, well, I haven't played an ISTL yet, but I definitely prefer best of 3 format. Best of 1s are, I mean, inferior player can definitely beat someone who's better than him just based off a best of 1, where it can happen in a best of 3 too, but it's much less unlikely. So ESCA is probably my favorite at the moment. But that being said, like the thrill of an all kill, if you will, is pretty exciting for a team, unless you're the one getting all killed. But yeah, that's my favorite for sure is ESCA, just based off the best of 3 format.
Cool. Kris? Actually, you know what? We're going to throw it over to Andrew Chan, Mr. MYiFiery. Hasn't said anything the entire podcast. What do you like best, Fiery?
Well, I play Counter-Strike for the ESCA league, so that's probably going to be my best one.
What about for Starcraft 2? Ignoring Counter-Strike.
Well, I kind of like all killing more because at least for the ISTO there's casting, so having my matches be casted is always like a thrill. You know, it's a lot better than just playing ESCA. It seems like you're just playing just another game, you know. But if you know it's being casting, it's hyped up. You know your teammates are watching, and I mean, just adding that excitement is a lot better.
The ISTL actually has started to get a lot more viewers now. There's like a couple hundred people watching every night, which is pretty cool. So, what about you, Kris?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think all kill is pretty cool. I wish ESCA would like step their game up and like get some legit casters that were pretty good and like start casting the finals and semis and just go from there. But
yeah, they're actually.
I would say
we haven't had any of our ESCA matches casted this season at all, and we're into week 5 of it. So
yeah, they just don't have any like quality casters that they can just like throw in to cast the matches, and it's just no one knows about it. Like you can win an ESCA, I guess you can like tell people, but I mean, not that many people are gonna know about it. So it's kind of
it's
kind of
weird
silly
to me because it's like a $5,000 prize pool for
it's
ESCA
insane.
too. You know, there's other team leagues that would kill for that. So.
I know at least I'm in the ESA forums a lot, so I know that the manager or like the person that runs ESCA, who's LP Kane and Torbo, like they want to focus more on first-person shooters and CS:GO, which just came out. So they probably put Starcraft aside. I mean, 2 years ago when it came out, before CS:GO was really announced, they wanted like some kind of new form of revenue because Counter-Strike was kind of like a dying industry. So I think now with CS:GO coming out for ESA, they kind of put Starcraft 2 aside, and I mean that's unfortunate. So that's probably one of the reasons why they don't have any casters.
No, that's a good point.
Well,
ESCA is always focused on, or that was their main like baby, if you will, was the like 1.6 in source. So I can definitely see why they do that.
yep. Well, I'd choose ISTL.
Why? Because all kill.
Just like the same reasons that Fiery pointed out. It's pretty cool to all kill. I mean, you're getting watched by like 200, 300 people. You're being casted. It's just pretty. It's a good feeling.
Nate, what about you, buddy?
I think if ESCA is putting $5,000 in a prize pool, they're just losing money because they have no, like, they do nothing to hype their league at all. There's no production value. There's nothing. They like get a random caster to cast different matches. They sometimes post out like a weekly review, and they don't always even do it. Like there was week 1 and 2 like wrap ups or whatever, predictions, and like week 3 and 4 they're like just there's not them. I don't know. And
I don't even think those people that do that even work for ESCA though. Like Tortellini.
Tortellini is the one who's done like the most content for
Yeah,
ESCA.
I don't even think he works for them. Yeah,
No, he
he
doesn't.
just like.
Stuffy was doing it last season, and he was working for them. Like he was an official.
Oh, was he?
ESCA,
I thought he was
like,
just
writer.
doing it for fun.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I don't
pretty sure
think
he was, like,
I don't
ESCA
think Tortellini works for them. He just no, he's working with Root actually. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand what their goal is with putting that much money into a league because, I mean, in all honesty, they could say, look, ISTL, we're gonna hire you we'll give you the $5,000 prize pool to run under the ESCA name. I mean, ISTL is my favorite one that I've played in just because, yeah, like everybody said, you get casted and, you know, it's fun. It's like it's just much more fun and professional. Like ESCA, you're supposed to schedule it yourselves. There's not really admins to support anything. Like we got gypped in week 3 because no admins would do anything for us. I mean, how's that going to happen when the admins are there for every single match like an ISTL, and they're the ones like doing the broadcast and running the match with you, and then you set your schedule and everybody's there at the same time, and it's not, you know, up in the air all the time, and you gotta have pressure scheduling your matches, and I don't know. It's just ESC is very unprofessional, and ISTL is the most professional, even though it has a way smaller prize pool and people are just volunteering.
yeah, it's strange to me that they only have a $500 prize pool this season, but their league is run vastly better than the ESCA, and the ESCA is a huge company, and I don't know. It seems strange to me, but I mean, I love the ISTL. So
and I would also say with IPL Team League and IPL Team League in general, like I look at the list of teams that were accepted there, and whoever actually was doing that like doesn't really have a grasp at like indie teams. I would say, like I see that's what they're kind of trying to go for, like IPL Amateur League, right? But what is the one amateur league that's actually out right now? That's ISTL. And they didn't go to any of the teams that were successful in there, like us particularly. We got snubbed in IPL, right? And like whoever was in charge of that, how would they not know? If that's your job, that's what you're hired to do for IPL. Why are you not like knowledgeable in that field? And your job is to accept teams and filter out the teams and go through the applications. And I see a lot of teams that should not be there. That have, I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but looking at watching a match when you just know who the outcome is just boring.
There's just a lot of random teams that I've never heard of them in my life. They're just silly.
And we all play on NA ladder like a lot, and I don't even know some of the tags. So I mean, it seems like they just randomly accepted teams and had no real standards, which is disappointing because the notoriety that comes with being an IPL team league is a lot.
what do you think their goals are by running that league? Like, maybe they just didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, or to indie teams because they don't think as many people will watch, or
I feel like their goal was the same as ISTL, but whoever they had running it and doing it had no clue what they were doing.
It's MYiRhi, BT MYiRhi, whatever that guy's name. Frank
Fields, I remember that guy.
Yeah, he's the one who does all that.
Yeah, but like if he's gonna step up and ask to or like be appointed to say, okay, you need to here we need this many teams, and because I mean there was no qualifiers, right? It was just
I feel like they just accepted like first come first serve, and then they didn't really put any thought into it beyond that.
I'm not sure how that was, but I mean that's why I have more respect for the STL. Like their goal, they made it very known that their goal is to get indie teams known. Like they want to, if you're not a professional huge team, they want to have a way for you to demonstrate who you are and get exposure. And then I feel like IPL, that was supposed to be their goal. Like why else would you have an amateur team league? Yet they did no research. They didn't do what they should have done. So I mean, I feel like they failed in that regard.
And then, I mean, do we need to even talk about the GSTL? GSTL is awesome. I mean, I feel that that's what all Team League should aspire to be like. So.
Dome?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
I'll say this: the best online production for like aside from GSTL is EG's Master Cup. They do an amazing job for their Clan Wars.
I actually
Yeah.
haven't watched a lot of the EG's Masters Cup, to be completely honest.
They don't. I mean, they only invite. I mean, it's only like I don't even think there's qualifiers. I think it's just like the top teams or something. I don't know if there's qualifiers.
No,
but
there aren't qualifiers. I
No, there's-
remember
they
Alex
just invite.
Garfield. Yeah, I remember Alex Garfield talking about that one time, or I think it was maybe Scoots on one of their podcasts, saying that there were some teams that were butthurt about not being invited. So it's
I mean-
invite only.
But if you compare EG Masters Cup to IPL in that sense, okay, like EG Masters Cups make a stance and say, okay, we're invite only, we want the best of the best, and then IPL's like, well, we want an amateur league. I mean,
their amateur league's only like it's like they invite a few teams, but like the people who get like, I think it was like top 4, they move on to like the real league. So they're playing with like Fnatic and EG and like all the like super big teams. So it's not really like an actual team league. It's just more of like it's like a little qualifier.
so then I don't understand, why would you have an invite to a qualifier? That makes absolutely no sense. Why would not make it open for everybody, every team that wants to register?
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know.
the amount of teams extra that, like, say the amount of teams that didn't get in, couldn't be, like, more than 20. I mean, that's really 3 extra rounds in a big bracket of like, the first round group play. You know what I mean? Like, it actually
Yeah, 'cause
doesn't...
I know
scheme.
Root made it in.
Of course. They weren't in the...
They weren't invited to the actual season. They just played in the
They got knocked out or something.
team league.
Oh, no, because they just came back. Never mind.
Yeah. So
Either
That
way,
was that.
IPL really failed.
Cool.
And EG Masters Cup does like amazing production. I really like enjoy. Like I feel like EG Masters Cup is like way on a higher scale of ISTL, but they both have like the same kind of like feeling when you play or watch it. Like very, very well done and professional.
All right, awesome. Well, that actually wraps up the topic list that I had for today. So we'll go. No, man, that's it. So we'll go down the line. This is gonna be like I said before. It's gonna be a little bit of a shorter podcast than usual. We're gonna usually aim for about an hour. Today's 45 minutes, so it's still pretty good. But we'll go around the circle. We'll just do some shout outs just to say your Twitter, where people can find you online. And that'll be it. So start with you, Nate, and we'll work left on the Skype call.
You can find me at S2shinyA and twitch.tv/S2shinyA. Eventually I'll get a new computer and stream, but follow me for that day.
nice. I'm excited.
People.
I'm excited.
Kris, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/fantasysc2 and at MYiParadise for Twitter. That's it.
Andrew Chan.
Huh?
Where can people find you online?
You can find me at twitch.tv/FireTycoon.
/Fiery Tycoon. And
Yeah,
the last but not least, Grape.
You can follow me at twitch.tv/rich and then HEI. And be sure to follow Team MYi on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter yet, but it'll be coming. And
Nice. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for throwing that out there so I didn't
Hey.
have to say it.
Wait. Didn't you just say follow me on Twitter at RichHEI?
No,
Twitch
Twitch.
TV.
That's his Twitch. That's his
Oh,
stream.
I thought he said Twitter. Okay.
No.
Twitch
God,
TV.
listen, Kris.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
Well, you gotta say Twitch TV.
Oh, let's hold this down, Chris. Just like in the clan.
And you can find the team at www.my
Don't say that. No.
Don't say www.
Oh, don't. Oh, we don't need people going on the site. The site sucks. Keep people away. Keep people away.
Click the
Fix that up.
banner at the top of the site. There's a trial for audible.com. If you do the
Get a
trial,
free
we get
book.
$10. You get a free ebook. And yeah, while you're, at work or in the car, you can listen to a book. It's awesome. Don't even have to read with your eyes. You can read with your ears. It's pretty awesome. And like I said before, we get $10, so it's win-win. It doesn't cost you anything. You do have to sign up with your credit card, but you can just cancel your subscription within the first month, and you don't get charged anything. Get to keep the ebook.
Is this serious?
Yeah, bro. Don't have to, it doesn't even charge you. You get to keep the ebook and all the knowledge that you get from the ebook. You get to keep that forever till the day you die. So, and if anyone's looking for coaching from anyone on the team, email coaching@my-intent.net and we'll set you up with one of the coaches. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
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 See you.
Get the music in right now. Bye.